Hey guys, Garrett Williams, aka Texans commenter here. Welcome to another episode of Second Guessing with Stressing. Today we have a very intriguing and exciting draft prospect and Mike Wright. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Doing good. I appreciate you having me on, and just really just excited for everything that to come up next. And it's been a long draft process, and I know we kind of touched on that earlier. So just excited to keep knocking these days down and getting closer into that day.
Yeah, like we kind of talked about briefly before. I mean, it's got to be a whirlwind for you guys, preparing for it. And especially for you, like we kind of briefly touched on it. And for those who don't know, I can kind of lead off with this and we can get into more background here in a second. But you are an intriguing draft prospect because I think people are calling you like a Swiss Army knife. Can you kind of just go through, obviously a quarterback, but I believe you played defensive back as well as receiver, probably special teams. Can you kind of go through everything you've played and where that's at?
Yeah. So me and a friend and one of our coaches all kind of sat down probably like a month ago, and we logged on a PFF and just wanted to see all the positions that I end up kind of lining up at. So I think I lined up at 13 different positions this past year, ranging from QB to running back to corner to safety to punter to playing different things on special teams. And so, like you said, the Swiss Army knife is kind of I've kind of gotten that tag, or just different things that you find out about yourself. But I'll say one thing: I just think if you love football, you'll play anywhere. Um, and I'm a football player, and so I've always kind of had that mentality of whatever the team kind of needs to win. Um, Look to me first, because I'll go out there and I'll go do it. And so draft process looked a little different for me leading up to it than most players. I'm less focused on the testing part, but more focused on the position work of cleaning up back pedals, running routes correctly. I mean, I've been a quarterback for a very long time. When I run routes, I don't want to look like I'm a quarterback out there running routes. So, but it was fun though. I mean, this is fun. We touched on it earlier. I mean, there's so much harder things in life than training for football. So for me to be like, oh, this has been so straining on my body and this, and the third. I mean, dude, if I wasn't smiling every time I went out there, I shouldn't be playing. Um, so no, it's been fun though.
Man, that's awesome perspective just from you being selfless and a good teammate wanting to win to, you training and kind of putting it into perspective relative to other people. That's very mature of you. So it sounds like for your pro day, everyone kind of just zeroes in on testing because you're normally this position and that's it. Obviously you have the drills, but you kind of do those drills your whole career. So you mentioned you had to focus on the drills. So you did drills for multiple positions and had to kind of train on all those. So that was a pretty, strenuous lead up until the pro day.
Yeah. So I'll put it this way: I come from a track background. So I ran track at Mississippi State. So I was a dual sport athlete there. Played football and ran track. You can kind of cut on the tape too and kind of see how fast I am. So that's never been a knock for me. Even though like there was times ranging from the 4.3s to the high 4.4s, it was just like I think everybody kind of knows how fast I am. But there's always been kind of like that question mark. It's like, yeah, he's a football player, but what position can we kind of own in on and dial into? And so for me, I was able to do 2 pro days. I was able to go back to Vanderbilt and do pro days there. You catch kicks and returns and all that kind of stuff there, and do receiver stuff there. And then when I went to East Carolina for my second pro day is when I did receiver again, but also the DB stuff, ranging from backpedaling as if I'm at the safety position or the corner position. Um, so, like you said, it's been intriguing for scouts because it's like, all right, well, I kind of fit the mold to be on all 32 teams because, like I said, I'm a football player. I can range from different areas of the field, and you combine that with height and speed, it
Yep.
makes people look twice. So that's all
Hmm.
I can really ask for in this process.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I've always understood they want to know height, weight, and speed, and a lot of these, programs they know like if like the base athletic football ability is there, they can kind of mold and develop guys. So, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of programs are looking at you as like a steal, someone
Mhm.
because that's kind of like I mean, as competitive as it is, and all the top guys everyone knows, but really to like find your edge, you got to find these diamonds in the rough, so to speak. And to me, it sounds like you fit that mold. And I believe, are you 6'1"? Is that correct? Or
Yeah, and so I measured in at 6'2" and 3/8.
oh,
Um,
dang! So you're
so
tall too. Jeez.
yeah, yeah. So I was how you do it. That helped me out when I finally made that transition to corner because it was
Yeah,
intimidating for quarterbacks. Even though I didn't have the greatest technique out there, there was like, all right, well, this corner's dang, there's 6'3" out there, 6'4" with a
yeah,
helmet. So
yeah.
it helped me out a little bit.
Yeah, and it's also impressive too, like, you mentioned your pro day. Most people, when they train for a pro day or combine, they are just like 40, 40, 40, 40. Like all they're doing is a 40 technique,
Mhm.
form. And like, I know for myself back in the day playing and going through that, like it can be a very technical thing, but you're like, I'm good. Like I know I'm fast. So I'm sure you still train and honed in, but you kind of really hyper focus on the position drill. So, I mean, I would argue if you kind of knew your position, and I guess I didn't ask you, but you can tell me your testing numbers that you had as well. But I would argue that you probably could have ran even faster if you got to laser focus on some of those drills like other people.
Yeah, and that's honestly you kind of you give and pull in areas that you want to. Um, we talk about how it's a long process, but you every day kind of counts. I mean, you can't run full speed every single day, but you can catch every single day. You can backpedal. You can work on this technique, and you can go to this place and this place. And so, um, I kind of did my training a little differently, as we kind of talked about, and I just really wanted to focus more on the position work. And that's just because when I was out there at these different positions, I didn't want to look like it was just somebody who was just stuck out there. Um, I wanted to actually look like a DB when I'm playing DB, a safety when I'm playing safety, a quarterback when I'm playing quarterback, a receiver when I'm playing receiver. And I just had that confidence that I was fast enough, regardless of even if I'm not training every single day at the 40-yard dash, that I'll be in that range that we kind of touched on earlier. And so it worked. I mean, it could have backfired. I could have been, running five flats, but I wasn't. And so, like I said, it was cool. It was cool. It's
Well,
something I
if
want.
you don't mind, share the numbers again, the 40, and I believe, did you
Yeah,
do shuttle, and if you did broad or vertical, anything else?
yeah, yeah. So in the 40 different ranges, but the ranges in the 4.36 to the 4.4 range, most of the times kind of in that area, um, and that was kind of just kind of where I was at, kind of with both pro days, a little faster at ECU than I was at Vandy. Um, Shuttle was in the 4.3s. L drill was 7.0. And then like just touched on earlier, so like right there at 6'2" and 3/8 and 198 pounds.
That's unicorn stuff, bro.
Yeah, and so that's why I mean you the measurables. I understood that the measurables will kind of be there. Um,
Hmm.
you just don't every you can find any athlete. I mean, shoot, there's probably a kid in Texas that has everything that I just named right now. Um, but that's why I really wanted to focus on the position work. Just so when I get to those different workouts, I can't run a 40 every single time and be like, all right, well, what
Yeah.
else can the kid do? Um, so I kind of took that approach.
But mentality is a big part of it too, and like what I'm gathering and just speaking with you for the past 10 minutes or so is you got that part as well, like the selfless, ability to change positions. Can you kind of go through that? Obviously, you see this a lot. People, normally when you grow up, you're the best player, you're the quarterback, and you kind of
Mhm.
evolve into that, and you become the quarterback in high school. And then you're also probably good enough, obviously, to you want to continue playing in college, and it may or may not work out. It may or may not be the best use of your skill set. Can you kind of go through the challenge of being recruited as a quarterback, wanting to be a quarterback, and your journey, all the stops that you had, and then was there a certain point in time when you realized, okay, like I'm gonna do what I can to play everywhere I can, and then also on the back end of that, it's maybe a long question, but I don't think some people may think that's easy. Like that's not easy. Like
Mm-mm.
people switching from left tackle to right tackle is tough.
Mhm.
Going from quarterback to receiver to safety to 13 positions, that is insane. Like there's challenges with that. So if you want to kind of outline that whole process
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. So my entire life, I've until up to a year and a couple of months ago, I've always played quarterback. I mean, as humble but as blessed as I could possibly be. I mean, I had all the offers that I wanted to have. I think by the time I left high school, I had maybe 40 offers. End up signing to Vanderbilt, played as a freshman. So it's just you have these success that you want at the quarterback position, um, and then decide to transfer from Vandy. We kind of switched the offense a little bit at Vandy. Um, they kind of wanted to put the ball in the air about 50 times a game where they were at that time. So I was like, I'm not that quarterback. I gotta move and run and do all that kind of stuff. And so went to Mississippi State as a quarterback. Me and Will Rogers both
Mm-hmm.
trying to lead an offense, and we ran into our adversity there. But then we kind of got a new coaching staff, and here comes Jeff Levy and his air raid offense and everything in between. And here I am again. We're about to put the ball in there 50 times a game. And as you hear me saying, I'm playing receiver and running back, that's to tell you I'm not putting the ball in there 50 times a game. But then you keep going through your journey, and found out I had another year after I left Northwestern. And so
Okay.
it's like, okay, am I going to take this other year? And if I am, what do I want to do with it? I already have both of my degrees, undergraduate and master's.
Man.
But for me, it was like I got a year left. Like I want to just have fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
football is as stressful. I mean, you've played. Football
Yeah.
becomes stressful, and so
Yeah. All
I
the
just wanted
pressure
to.
and all that
All,
stuff. Like you have this vision of how it's gonna go. It doesn't go that way.
like I'm a guy that when somebody was joking the other day, it was like, all right, so for homecoming in 10 years, what school do you go to? Yeah, it's like I've been all over the place and all over the world. But I just wanted to make sure that regardless if this past year was my last year playing football, I wanted to end on a high note, loving the game that I loved when I was 6 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
just have fun with it. So it was
Mm-hmm.
never like, hey, coach, no, I play quarterback. I can't do it. I'm not going to do a package. Like, dude, this is your last year. You're going to do whatever you can to get on the field. Um, and, one position turned into two, and two turned into four. And then it just became whenever we need somebody to go out there, let's just go send Mike because Mike can do it. And I had an absolute blast doing it. I mean, it was fun. It was fun.
Well, you probably learn a lot about yourself. Like, like we mentioned, like you probably like, oh, I can't do this. I haven't done that. And then you just kind of, make yourself vulnerable, so to speak. And then it almost sounds like you kind of had more and more success in realizing, oh, actually, I can do this. And it sounds like maybe the coaches too, like, all right, we'll just keep throwing stuff at him and it keeps handling. Is that kind of what you experienced with that?
That's exactly how I describe it. And I was telling somebody, and I was talking to one of the scouts, and he asked me kind of the same question, like, how much confidence do you have playing all those positions? And I said, the good thing is I didn't have a whole lot of bad habits. I never played corner. So the
Mm-hmm.
first time a coach taught me how to backpedal, it was the correct way, or how to flip
Yep.
my hips, or the depth on a route, or on how to do this. So everything that I was being taught was the correct way. Um, so then just you go out there, and I'll say this, like if you I owe a lot of credit to ECU, their coaches and like my teammates, because you can tell when a team is confident in you to go out there, you automatically have even more confidence, even higher than the confidence you already have in yourself. So for them to always say, "Hey, Mike, this week we need you to play a little bit more nickel and corner," I'm like, "All right, if you think that I can do it, let's
Yeah.
go, let's roll." And so, like you said, I mean, every week it just turned into something different. This, and this, and now I'm kicking and punting the ball. Like it's just it's
Oh,
hilarious.
I
It's
didn't even
fun.
mention that. You're a kicker and a punter.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
unbelievable, man.
I think I had six punts this year, along of 53, um, and one inside the 10-yard line. So that's how you. I guess that's how you draw it up.
Well, to me, like that's crazy, bro. Like going from quarterback, we mentioned all that. That's crazy. But then to go and try to be a kicker and a punter, and like one, not be scared, and two, actually do good doing it. Like to me, this is like a very valuable thing for NFL teams. On top of your height, weight, speed, all the
Hmm.
frame, the measurables. but like you're showing, because a lot of guys that aren't, top picks, like if you want to make the team, you're going to have a presence on special teams. So that
Absolutely.
tells me is like you're not, and a lot of those people too that are on the fringe are probably like, man, I'm too good for special teams. Like I'm not going to do that. Like you seem like, yeah, bro, like I'll do whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I've told scouts, and I think they see the value in that too. Whereas, if a team is only looking for somebody who can play offense, and like let's just take the first round. Like the first round, it's like, all right, the first 10 picks, they're like, all right, we need a receiver, we need this, we need this. Um, I'm a guy that literally fits all 32 teams. And so that's kind of been my case. And I think a lot of teams see the value in that. It's like, all right, if we just need a guy to be on the roster and to do XYZ, that's me. And there's not a whole lot of people in college football that have done what I've done. So it's like it's a project, it's an intriguing project, and a bunch of scouts and my agent is we always had the same thing. It's like all it takes is one. You just need one team to kind of pull the trigger and believe in you. And so I'm excited to see if that happens. Really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful it does, and I don't see why it wouldn't. And just talking with you, it sounds like you'll make the most of it. I guess before we wrap up, just talking about scouts and meetings, are you able to share, teams you've met with and maybe the kind of format it's been?
Yeah. So I had a lot of conversations before the pro days, just with different scouts. So like even like teams like the Seahawks or the Lions, just calling, just seeing, all right, hey, how you feeling? Just they always want to get a read on you.
Hmm.
And what was cool is the opportunity to do two pro days. A lot of the scouts that were at the Vanderbilt pro day also came to the ECU pro day. So it's like you get a chance to not only get evaluated twice, but get evaluated twice by the same people. Um, and so there was even a portion in our pro day at ECU where the Panthers kind of pulled me and another receiver we have at ECU named Anthony Smith, who is insane, by the way.
I'll have to check them out.
Insane. I mean, he is. Yeah, he'll be one of those guys that we look
Is
at and
he
like,
like a Z type or X receiver? Or?
he's an X and a Z,
Okay,
which is really really cool to see him go out there and go play. Like he'll be our prospect that everybody hang on to for sure at ECU. Um,
awesome.
but there's a portion where the Panthers kind of pulled both of us and kind of went through some different drills and different um, receiver based drills before we kind of went out there and did all the routes and stuff like that too. And so I'm excited about it. I mean, every single day you're just antsy because you want to know, like, all right, are they talking about me? Are they not? Um, but you just, like I said, I mean, you just take it day by day. I mean, everything is going to work out the way that's supposed to work out. And so I'm just proud of the way that I did it. I mean, whether I get an
Yeah.
opportunity or I don't, I went through the draft process the way that I want to go through. I had an amazing time my last season, and I'm still smiling now. And so I'm like I said, I'm just excited and really thankful for the opportunity, really just to be here. You know.
Man, you're very respectable, very mature, very impressive interview. Got a lot of respect for you and your story. I mean, we forget, people in college are young, man, early 20s, like, you're still a young adult figuring out life. And for you to kind of have that perspective, like mentioning the wherewithal to think about, oh, I have 1 year left. How do I want to approach it? At the very least, no matter what, you've set yourself up for in the future. When you look back, you can be proud and have no regrets and that is probably the most important thing is like later in your life. And I am confident and hopeful that, you continue your journey as well. So
Oh yeah,
that's
thank you.
just great to hear. And I'm like, this is my favorite thing when I interview younger athletes. Like, I'm involved. I played at CNF Austin and then Incarnate Word.
Yeah,
And so I'm involved with the program there. And so I get to like know and talk to these players. Like I'm continuously blown away at like how mature some of these kids are in these programs nowadays. And maybe that's the nature of college football, but like
yeah,
it makes me happy to see guys like yourself, just like, man, like good head
yeah.
on your shoulders. And it's just awesome to see. But before we go, anything else you'd like to share that I might have missed or?
No, yeah. I always shout out the company that I work with. So um, I work in corporate affairs right now for Georgia Power. Um,
You're already working, bro?
so I finished my master's at Northwestern, and like I said, I found out I had another degree. So it's like it's only so much school that I could do. So instead of like going to school all the way, um, I actually work in corporate affairs for a company called Georgia Power, and get a chance to work with a whole bunch of different sports partners, like controlling like the Hawks and the UGA Bulldogs and Georgia Tech and the Braves and all that kind of stuff. And so they've always been really supportive of this process. So I had to shout out my team for whenever I'm gone for a week to go to pro day, and then like I'm in the office right now. So this is where we're at with it.
I was
So
gonna
I had
say it
to
kind of looks like it.
yeah had to give a shout out to them, and they've been awesome with everything going on. So
Man, that's great of them, and I'm even more impressed, dude. You're very impressive. I mean, you got 2 degrees, you're working, and you're still pursuing your dreams. Hats off to you. You definitely got a fan of me. I was a fan of your game prior, just kind of seeing your story, but even more so now. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for your time. Yeah, until next time, guys. We'll see you later. But go check out Mike Wright. He is the Swiss Army knife, and who knows, potentially a Houston Texan.
yeah, that's right.